Good day folks, this is Anand from Cyber and CMEC. I have presented myself in front of you to discuss about the topic IP subnetting. As you have seen in this comment, this seriously gives me grief, so let's get on with it. So you are seeing today's agenda, that is introduction to IP subnetting, how to identify the host and the network part of an IP, then uses of IP subnetting, then we finally summarize the session about the topic we have discussed coming on. So let's begin. The first session in our agenda is introduction to IP subnetting. So what is a subnet? A subnet is a logical subdivision of an IP. So the subnet divides the IP into two fields, that is the network prefix and the host identifier. A subnet works by including extended network addresses to individual computer addresses. To fully identify a host, you need to identify its network first. For that, you need an IP address and a net mask or a subnet mask. So what is a subnet mask? A subnet mask is a 32-bit or 128-bit number that segments the existing IP address in a TCP/IP network. The last point is that subnet divides the IP address into a network address and host address, hence to identify which part is reserved for the network and the host use. So let's get on with the second topic of our agenda, that is how to identify the host and the network part of an IP. Here I have presented myself with steps that is essential for finding both the network and the host part. For the host part, we change the second step just a little bit. Here I have taken the example as 219.172.135.7/255.255.224.0 as the IP/network mask. So let's get on with the identifying the host and the network part of an IP topic. The first part is identifying the network part. So we have taken the IP example and converted it to its binary form. Thus we get this answer as presented in the screen. The first one, 219.172.135.7 is the IP of an network, and the second one is its subnet mask. So the next step is to perform the bitwise AND operation between the resultant binary form of both IP and the mask. Thus we get the network part in the binary form, which then we convert to decimal form, thereby getting the 219.172.128.0 as the network part of the address. So this notation, this decimal notation is also called a CIDR notation or classless interrouting domain notation. The decimal notation we got here is the network prefix. As I have mentioned earlier, this is the network prefix, and this notation is called a classless interrouting domain or CIDR notation. So let's move on to the part where we find the host of an IP address. So let's move. Okay, the address part not covered by the net mask is the host part of the address. You can find it by performing the bitwise AND on the inverse of the binary net mask. This is the part we change the second step of this whole process just a little bit. So let's look at the following example. So the first step is as same as the previous one, where we find the network part of the IP address. It's just converting the octets to its binary. So the second step, moving on to the second step, is that invert the net mask by performing the bitwise NOT operation. Mask, as you are seeing in the slide, the mask is inversed by the bitwise NOT operation, such as we get the zeros as ones and ones as zeros. So let's move on to the next step and the final step in performing the host, in getting the host part of the IP address, is that perform the final bitwise AND operation, just as previously when we found out the network part of an IP address. But here we take the binary form of the IP address and the previously got mask binary form of the mask by performing the bitwise NOT operation. So we perform the bitwise AND operation between the these two binary forms, thus getting the host part of the IP address. So when we convert this binary form to host decimal notation, we get the answer as 0.0.7.7. So moving on to the third part of the agenda, that is uses of IP subnetting. As you can see, the first point is that it helps other subnets to maximize their speed and effectiveness. Subnetting ensures that the information remains in the subnetted network or broadcast domain, which allows the subnets to maximize the speed and effectiveness. Sometimes the broadcast packets tend to spam every device in the network, so dividing it into subnets increases the speed and effectiveness. The second point is that it reduces the congestion of network. Subnetting ensures that the traffic destined for a device within a subnet stays in the subnet, which reduces congestion. Through better placements, you can reduce the network load also. The third part, network security is so tremendously boosted. Subnetting also plays a major part in boosting the network security. The fourth part, control the network growth. The key benefit of subnetting is that you can control the network growth. The host formula, being popular, is used to determine the size of your network. You can determine your own the size of the subnet as depending on your choice. The fifth and the last point is that it helps in the ease administration of networks. Subnetting helps in the ease administration of the networks. Network admins does a serious job on administrating networks, but subnetting makes their job a whole lot easier. It is an effective way to keep tabs on the machine of your network. This will ensure that your attention will be given to those problems which may arise in the network. So we move on to the last step of this of the agenda, that is we summarize this session. As we have discussed previously, we have discussed about the topic of what is an IP, what is a subnet, what is the process of subnetting, how to find the host and the network part of the IP, and we found out the uses of the IP subnetting, that is it reduces congestion, boosts network security, etc. So as you can see in the slide, IP subnetting is a useful procedure into day-to-day lives of a network admin, pen tester, cybersecurity, most cybersecurity engineer, analysts, sysadmins, and furthermore, as you can see, all those people who are working in the IT field must have a little knowledge about what is IP subnetting, how the whole process looks like. So this is my first video. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Again, this is Anand Saji from Cyber and CMEC. Hope to see you soon. Bye. Thank you.